Was life nothing more than a dream? August 12, 2019. Sharon Hewitt-Rowlett, Ph.D., is a philosopher who investigates apparent coincidences by what they can tell us about the occult functioning of consciousness. Here it makes us think about our own reality, if it is really real. Was life nothing more than a dream? One of the weird things about dreams is that most of the time we are not aware that we are dreaming. Typically, our memory and our reflective ability are substantially limited within dreams. Foss et al. 2003. Hobson et al. 1998, so that we do not notice incongruities within the dream and assume that what we experience is real. It simply does not occur to us to consider that it may not be. Perhaps even more strangely, even when we occasionally realize that we are dreaming, and according to various surveys conducted around the world, 26% to 92% of people have had at least one lucid dream. Stepansky et al. 1998. Ehrlicher et al. 2008. Palmer, 1979. 2008. The sensory dream experiences that can remain so convincingly real. I remember that in one of my own dreams, I realized it was a dream and then marveled at how solid and real the cell phone in my hand looked. The ability of the dream world to appear real has led many thinkers, philosopher René Descartes 1641, to be the most prominent Western example, to wonder if the world we experience while awake could be a dream. If the dream world feels as real as being awake at least while we are in it, how can we know for sure that we are not currently living in a dream we might someday wake up from? One way philosophers have tried to dispel such concerns is by appealing to the differences between the dream world and the dream world. For example, our waking world has a coherence that the dream world often lacks. For an example of an argument based on coherence against the skeptical hypothesis, see Norman Malcolm 1959. You may recall that in the fiction movie The Origin, characters learn to recognize that they are dreaming by asking themselves how they came to be a certain situation, then realizing that they couldn't remember, because the dream just put them there. But does the coherence of our waking world ensure that it is real? I believe the coherence of our waking world gives us evidence that it is not just a figment of our imagination. Specifically, it gives us evidence that when we are awake, something is causing our experience that is independent of the experience itself. For example, the relative permanence of the objects and environments we experience in waking life seems to be best explained by the fact that there is something real and lasting that our experiences are reflecting. However, the relative permanence of the objects and environments we encounter in the waking world is no guarantee that the waking world is as real as possible. After all, a high degree of permanence is also found in video game worlds, where the environments and objects we interact with are just the creations of computer code. So while perceived permanence seems to point to something that is objective/lasting, the true nature of what is out there may seem as little in our experience as a computer code looks like the images we see when we play a video game. In fact, physics teaches us that the objects we experience as solids are actually composed almost entirely of empty space. And the results of quantum mechanics experiments indicate that, under certain conditions, the building blocks of matter do not behave as discrete particles, but as probability waves. If, however, we feel the world full of enduring and solid objects, this is due to the usual way our senses interact with it and the way in which these senses interact. Interactions are represented in consciousness. This means that there is, indeed, an important sense in which we all constantly lie within a dream, that is, within a world created by our own minds. It's just that when we are awake, our minds conform our dreams to a reliable set of patterns, which we presume to be determined by a reality that exists independently of our experience, although we have no way of knowing that reality except through the complex ways in which it exists affects our dream. But could there be an even deeper sense in which our waking life is a dream? Just as we often wake up from sleep to realize that what we were experiencing in the sleep state was not as coherent and ill as what we experienced when awake, there could be a day when we would emerge from the dream of reality to experience an even more coherent world. Is it vividly real? A state in which we will experience levels of knowledge, memory, and other cognitive functions that far surpass those we experience in our present lives? In fact, quite a surprising number of people reported having had experiences like this. That is, they report having had experiences that seem more real to them than they have in their normal waking state. For example, more real than real is a description often used by those who have experienced near-death. Moody 1975. Thonard et al. 2013. Palmieri et al. 2014. Those who used psychedelic substances such as DMT, Strassman 2001, and those who, by various other means, have experienced unusual states of consciousness. Many near-death experiences also report increased cognitive function and a sudden increase in knowledge. Owens et al. 1990. Grayson 2003. This perception of heightened cognitive function and increased knowledge is often dismissed as an illusion by those unfamiliar with the scientific literature on near-death experiences, but careful investigation has shown that concrete and verifiable information has been obtained in these states that do not. They were not available to the person who experienced this through their five senses. Rivas et al. 2016. The experience of those who have had unusual states of consciousness raises the possibility that the old question of life is just a dream is more than a futile concern for some philosophers comfortably sheltered in their armchairs beside their fireplaces. The answer to this question could very well have major empirical consequences, including startling implications for the kinds of experiences that are available to the human mind. We have every reason to be aware of this possibility as we continue to investigate the true nature of the world in which we live.